Today we will learn a special data type in C, that is structure. But before starting the concept of structure, we have to understand how many data types we have in C. So any data type in C can be classified as the first one is known as basic data type, or you can say it is a primary data type. The second category is known as derived data type. The third category is known as enumeration, and the fourth category is known as void. So specifically we have four distinct classification of data types in C. Now today we are going to learn derived data type. Now what is this derived data type is all about? So derived data type includes generally array that we have already discussed, then pointers, and then structure and union. Since in the previous class I have already discussed array and pointer, so today our topic of discussion is structure. So what is this structure in C? We know that it is a derived data type in C, or it is also known as a user defined data type. Now, first, to explain structure, we have to understand few points about this structured data type. That is, how we can simply define a structure to create our own programming. So, structure is a user defined data type in C which allows to combine data types which comes under this category. Means inside a structure I can write any other derived data types or any primary data types. So this is a basic construction of a structure. For an example, I can say if I have to write a program to store a student information, so in that case we have to store student name, age, branch, permanent address, father's name, and so on. So, which includes basically string as well as integer values. So, in that case, how can I use array for this kind of problem? So, at this point of time, I will require something which can hold the data of different types together. So, this is the reason why we have to use the concept of structure in C. So now for defining a structure, we have to write a keyword struct. After that, we have to use a tag, structure tag. It is a name of a structure. So you can give any name of a structure. And later, within the body of the structure, you can include either derived data types or primary or basic data types. So within this body of the structure, you can write either basic or derived data types. So if I write any basic or derived data type inside a structure, then they are known as members of the structure. And I can define any number of members inside a structure. And you have to remember one more point. The body of the structure ends with a semicolon. So this is the basic syntax of a structure. But we can also define a structure without a tag. Means a structure without a tag is also possible. However, I suggest you to give it a name. Then it will be easy for you to represent. So in your exam, you may find one short note that can I write a structure without a tag? The answer is yes, it is possible. But in general for coding, we prefer to use a structure tag. Now I will show you some basic syntax of a structure. So we know that the main purpose of defining a structure so that that particular data type can hold some other category of data type as its member. So as I was explaining, for defining a student information, then I have to define a structure. So the keyword will be struct. And since I'm creating this structure for holding the student information, so I'm just giving it a name as student. And within this, what kind of data type should I use? I can write any data type of basic or derived. So first I'm using character data type so that it could hold the name of the student. And name of the student should be a array because it will be large enough. And then I can write one basic data type integer so that it could hold the age of the student. Then I can also write branch as a character data type, which should be an array. It will hold the branch name of the student. And then also I can write the gender of the student, right? So, and structure should end with a semicolon. So this is the basic definition of a structure, and this part is known as body of the structure, and all these variables which are known as structure variables are also known as member variables of a structure. So now after defining a structure, this is your first step. The second step will be declaring structure variable. Now here I want to add one point. Whenever we write any data type, then we have to write a variable, right? So A is a variable here and int is a data type or basic data type. Now, if you compare among these two syntax, what will happen? Since integer is a basic data type, so what is the definition of the integer? It is already defined or predefined. But in structure, what happens? We have to define what is the meaning of a structure. So my point here is if you are using a basic data type, since the data type is already defined, you start with the second step. That is, you start with the declaring variable of the data type. However, in this case, since structure is a user defined data type, so you have to first define the structure and then you have to declare the variable of a structure. Now we will learn how to define a variable of a structure. So it is very simple. After defining a structure, then you can do one thing. You can copy the entire name. So copy the entire name means I will write the keyword struct and you just copy the tag name, and here the tag name is student, and after that you can write the variables, that is say a, b. So here a and b are the variables of type struct student. So here you have to remember one point. Struct student is the data type here and AB are the variables. So in this case, int is a data type and A is a variable. I can define B also as a type of integer. So AB is a variable here and int is a data type. The only difference is this is your user defined data type and this is your basic data type. So this is how you can define variables of type structure. Now you have one more alternative option. What is that option? You can define variable of a structure at this point. How? Do not write this semicolon. So after closing the second bracket, here you can write the variable name, means struct student, and this is the body of the structure, and do not end this structure with a semicolon. And here you just write the number of variables that you want to include as a structure variable, and then you end the structure. And here you should write the members of the structure, means the structure variables. So these are the two convention that we will follow. But if you ask me, I prefer to use this kind of declaration, means first define the structure, end the structure with a semicolon, and after that in the next line you just write the keyword and the structure tag together, and then write the variable name. However, you can use any of the syntax. So now we are at the second step. This is how we can define a structure variable. After that, we have to move on to the third step. Now we will learn how to access structure members. So we have several mechanisms, but we have to learn each one of them one by one. So the third step is, see, we have to define a structure. So where should I define the structure? After writing, say, hash include stdio.h, that is after writing the library files, then you have to define the structure, means the body of the structure. So in that case, we have struct student. And here you have to write the member variables. Each and every member variables end with a semicolon. And then you have to end the structure. Now, in the next step, for accessing the structure variable or for accessing the structure members, you have to define structure variables. So where should I define the structure variable? After writing main function, inside this main function, here you define the structure variable. Now, what is the convention of defining structure variable? I will write the structure keyword and then the structure tag name, this part, and afterwards I will write the variable. Say the variable name is S. So S is a structure variable. Now we have to learn the third step. So how to use or how to access the members of the structure variable. So what are the members of the structure variable? I have discussed that in my structure we have one character that will hold the student name, and also I will have one integer that will hold the age of the student, and similarly we have one character variable for holding branch information and one for holding the gender information. So these are the structure members. Now to access those members, I have one option, that is I can directly write the variable name dot then the structure member name. So if I write s dot age, so here s is the structure variable name and age is one of the member of this structure data type. So if I write s dot age, means via this s variable I want to access this age, and here I want to put a value like 18, say. So this 18 value will be stored inside the age member of the structure via the variable s. Now this dot operator is known as member access operator, and this member access operator is coded as period between the structure variable name and the structure member that we wish to access. So this is one convention. This is how we can access the structure members. Now we can follow another convention. Pay attention to this. Now the second alternative is, say now I want to access the structure member name. So it is of type character. So now I wish to access name, right? How to access? So I have to use member access operator. So I'm just writing member access operator. Now member access operator should be written in between structure variable and the member we wish to access. So here the structure variable name is s. So s dot name. Now how to take input in this name character array? So one option is I can write one function which is known as strcpy, means str copy, string copy. So this is a function which is predefined in C. I can write strcpy s dot name. Then by writing comma, I can put the name of the student. So this is how we can access array, character array, which is a member of a structured data type. Now try to understand this strcpy function is a predefined function. So where it is defined? It is defined inside a library file which is known as string.h. So for that reason, I have to include string.h header file at the beginning of the code. So this is how we can take name into the name member variable, which is a character array for the structure struct student. Now how to print them? So for printing, I will use the same convention. For printing, I will use printf, and afterwards, if I want to print the name, student name, then I have to use the specifier %s, and then to print the name of the student, again I have to write the structure variable name, member dot, that is a member access operator, and then the array name. If I write this, then the ABC will be printed. And how to print the age? I will write printf %d as a specifier, and then I will write structure variable name dot age. So it will print 18. So this is one convention that we could follow. However, if you want to avoid this strcpy and if you want to take student name inside this name array by using simple scanf, you can also do it. So instead of writing this line strcpy, you just write scanf and then %s and then the structure variable name dot, then the name of the student. That is, this name is the member of the structure and this is the variable of the structure. But in this case, you should not provide the name of the student statically. Here, from the console, you have to take this name as input. And similarly, you can use scanf %d ampersand of, then the variable name dot age. So this is how you can take student's age from the console. So either you can use this kind of declaration where you are taking the value statically, or else you can take the value from the console. So this is how you can access structure members. So whenever you are dealing with structured data type, you have to follow three steps. First, defining the structure. Then second, you have to define the variable of the structure. Third, you have to use any one of the mechanism to access the members of the structure. And for accessing the members of the structure variables are one of the important key that you have to use. And also in this case, to associate the structure variable with the structure members, you have to use member access operator or dot. So this is the basic definition of a structure. Here, whatever structure I have defined, this structure is only comprised of basic data type and array of the basic data type. Now I will go into the details. How you can deal with the array of structure or how you can deal with the derived data type. Now I will move to the next important topic, which is known as structure initialization. So here, how to initialize a structure. See, we have several methods, but you can opt for any one of them. So whenever you have the structure definition, say I'm defining a structure person. So person is the tag name here and struct is the keyword. And here I'm using a basic data type, that is float, which holds the height of the person and weight of the person of type integer and age of a person. Now my point is how to initialize them. So you can use static initialization. So after ending the structure, you can do one thing, write struct person, that is the structure data type, and then define one variable. So say this is person 1, you want to take the detailed entry for the person 1, and you can write here within curly braces. That is, here struct person is a data type and P1 is a variable of type structure. Means P1 is having all these members of type struct person. So inside P1, first I will write the height of a person, then I will write the weight of a person, and then I will write the age of a person. So this is how you can define any number of structure variable and you can initialize them. And you should follow the order. First height, then weight, and then age. Or you can use this convention also. Just define the structure variable, end it here using semicolon, and then individually you can take value. Just like p1 dot height. p1 dot height, which is equal to some value. Then p1 dot weight equal to some value. So this is how you can initialize a structure variable. So you can use any convention, but this is your static declaration. Now I will discuss array of structure. Means the variable that I was talking about, after writing the structure definition, you have to define the variable of a structure. That variable can be array. What I mean to say is that, so whenever you have a structure, say E is the tag name, and if you have any member of type character, which is a derived data type array, and say we have some other members. So after ending this structure, our next intention is to write a variable, right? So in this case, I can write array. So instead of writing this variable, I can define one array. So here it indicates that EA is a structure variable which is the array of size 5. Now the point is how to deal with this situation. So I'm giving you one example where it is very common to use one array variable for a specific structure. Say I am dealing with some employee details. So you have to create one structure. Say the tag name is employee. And here I'm just selecting the members as age of the employee, name of the employee, and the salary of the employee. So at this point of time, I need to store details of many employee. So what I can do inside main, instead of writing a single structure variable, I will define one structure array, say E of 4. So E is the array of type struct emp and 4 is the size of the array. So now how to take value inside this array? So one convention you can follow, you just write the structure name and the size of the structure, then write equal to and put curly braces. Afterwards, since the size of the array is 4, so you have to use 4 curly braces to take the values inside the array. How? Since E is the array of size 4 and data type of the E is struct EMP, so inside E I can take these three different values. So in this first curly braces, I will take first the age of the employee, then the name of the employee. Since name is the character, so I'm just writing it in the double quotes, and then the salary of the employee. Then put semicolon. Afterwards, I will take the details of the next employee, and then similarly details of the third employee. Each time, whenever I am taking entry of a specific employee, each and every entry ends with a semicolon. And then since the size is 4, so I will take the entry for the fourth employee too. So then it ends with a semicolon. Then this declaration should ends with another semicolon. So this is how you can take entry for an array which is an array of type struct variable or struct data type, right? So this is one kind of initialization that you could use when you have array variable for a specific structure type. But while defining this kind of situation, we have encountered one question, that why we need this kind of declaration. So according to my discussion, I need array variable for a structure when I want to store so many employee details all together. But now consider one situation where I am talking about a student structure. Say I have a structure within which I want to store the student details. Now there will be one problem. What is that problem? Say I can store name of the student as a character. So there will be no issue. And also I can store age of a student. But here the problem is when I want to store the address of a student, because the address of a student may have so many subfields like locality, city, pin code. So basically my point is, try to consider a situation where the member of a structure variable itself is multi-valued, means that variable can be divided further into several segments. So at that point of time, the array variable only can't help. So in this situation, we have to use nested structure. So now we are going to learn a new concept which is known as nested structure. And nested structure is useful whenever your structure members are multi-valued, means they are complex in nature. So how could I define this kind of nested structure? So first I will use a struct keyword and then I'm defining this structure for a student. So here the tag name is student, and here I'm just using name of the student, which is an array, and age of the student. And then at this point, for storing the student's address, I will use another structure, that is struct say address. And then within this structure, I will write the different segments such as locality, so it is an array, then city, it is also an array, or I can write pin code, which should be an integer. And then I can define one variable for this structure, say A or address, and then semicolon. And here I will end the master structure. So whenever I write one structure inside another structure, it is known as the concept of nested structure. So at this point, we need nested structure. So similarly, you can apply this concept for any situation, because whenever we deal with employee database, there also we will have employee name, employee salary, employee age. Also there will be an employee address. So at that point of time, create another structure inside the master structure so that you could hold all the other details of the specific address of an employee. So this is the point where we need nested structure. So now we have another kind of syntax in structure. But before that, we have to learn a special keyword in structure which is known as type def. So basically in C, type def is written in small letters. So understanding this keyword is very, very important. Mm. So basically the C programming language provides this keyword type def, which you can use to give a type or a new name of a specific data type. How? First, try to follow the syntax. So whenever you want to use this typedef keyword, your first task is to write the keyword. And then you have to use one abbreviated form or symbolic abbreviation. That is, you can write any name in caps according to your choice. And in between, you have to write the data type which you want to be abbreviated. For an example, I'm just here writing unsigned char. So try to understand this point. A syntax of this type def has three segments. First is the keyword itself, and the third is the new name that you want to use as an abbreviated form. But abbreviated form of whom? Abbreviated form of some particular data type. Means writing unsigned char each time in my coding, it will take long time. Also, we may encounter with some spelling mistake because it's a combination of long words. So in that case, what we will do, we have to use some abbreviation. Means further in the coding, I can write B, and then I can write any variable of type V. So it means B1 and B2 are the variables of type B. And what is the meaning of B? The meaning of B is an unsigned character. So whenever you are writing type def means you are giving a nickname to some type representation. So here, is it mandatory to write capital letter? No, it is just a convention. You can write small letter too. But since we are creating this abbreviated form, so it is a convention in C programming language, we should use capital letter for that. So this is the basic use of type def. Means you can write this kind of syntax also. So type def, say unsigned character, and then say this is my abbreviated form byte. So afterwards I can use this abbreviated form anywhere in my programming, and I can use any number of variables of type byte. So here b1 and b2 will be the variable of type unsigned character. So type def means I'm just getting rid of writing this long tiring words. So simply we can write byte or bit. Or I can do one thing, I can replace this abbreviation with the small letter also. So at that point of time, I can write byte B1 and B2. So any convention you can follow. So basically, this is the main use of type def. So now this type def keyword can be used with the structure also, because each time whenever we are writing any structure variable, we have to write struct keyword and then the tag name, and afterwards we have to write the variable name. So we can make it a short representation using type def. So now we will learn how to use this type def with structure. So here the first thing is, before defining a structure you just write type def and then write the struct keyword and then write the tag name. Any tag name you can use. Say I'm just writing a tag name as books. And inside this structure you can define the members. Say title of the book, which will be an array, and then character, author name, it should be an array. So similarly you can write anything. Book ID. Now end this structure definition with a variable name, say book. So book is a variable of type structure. So what will happen, try to understand. Type def, then the second field, and then this is the third field that I was explaining. Type def keyword and then the long word that I want to represent in terms of some abbreviated form. So this is your abbreviated form, and this is your long word struct books. Using type def, you are just providing a nickname for this struct books. So within main, you can do one thing. You can write book, straight away the abbreviated name, and then you can use the variable. Any number of variable you can write. And similarly, you can take input. How to take input? Say I want to take input within this member title. How can I take? So I will just write strcpy, then the variable name. Then what is the variable name? B1. Then dot operator, and where I want to take the value inside title. And what is the title of my book? Say C programming. So this is how I can take input. Similarly, if I want to take input inside author, I will write strcpy b1 dot author, and then I will take the value, that is the name of the author. Similarly, I can take input. This is the first input, and for B2 it means I want to take input for another book, book 2. So due to this typedef keyword, instead of writing struct books then B1 comma B2, this portion will be abbreviated as just book B1 and B2. So this is the main advantage of using typedef. So now we will learn one important thing, what we can do with this typedef. So this typedef keyword with structure is generally used in the genetic algorithm to create chromosome. But before explaining that, we have to learn one more very important structure definition, that is structure with malloc. Means if there will be a situation where I have to define dynamic memory, and that memory allocation, if it will be in terms of a structure, then how we can define that structure. So now we will learn structure with malloc. Structure with malloc. So now we know that dynamic memory allocation or dynamic allocation of memory is a very important concept in C. It allows building complex data structure such as linked list. So this is the application. So whenever you want to create any linked list, you have to understand how to define a structure with malloc. So allocating memory dynamically helps us to store data without knowing the size of the data at the time of writing the code. So whenever I'm writing a code, whenever I'm defining an array, each time I have to provide the size beforehand. But in case of dynamic memory allocation, there will be no need. So to allocate a chunk of memory dynamically, always we need a pointer which is ready to store the location of the newly allocated memory. I have already discussed this in the previous class. So we can access memory which was allocated to us using the same pointer, and we can use that pointer to free the memory also. So this is the advantage of dynamic memory. So first we are allocating the memory and we are storing the starting address into the pointer, and whenever my work is finished, then I can free that memory by using that pointer. Now I want to explain this situation with the help of a structure. So I have discussed that for defining any structure, we have three steps, right? First, we have to define a structure. So how we could define a structure? I'm just using typedef. And then I'm just using struct keyword. Then I can write a tag name. So here tag name is optional. So here I'm just omitting the tag name. It is also possible. And inside this structure, what I have explained, I can write derived and basic data type. So here I am writing a pointer. Hmm. So here the pointer variable is your derived data type, and also I am writing one basic data type, say age. And then I am just writing one structure variable, person. So since I am using typedef, we know that typedef has three fields. So here person is the abbreviated format of type struct. So instead of writing typedef struct, I will use person in my code. So now come to the next step. So now I will create dynamic memory. For creating dynamic memory, I have to use malloc function. And malloc function has two sections. This section is used for typecasting, and this section will return the size of the memory that I want to allocate. And this allocation must be stored inside a pointer variable. Say xy is the pointer variable. Now, what should be the data type of the pointer variable? Since I am creating this dynamic memory for holding a structure, so therefore the data type of this variable should be of structure type. So here the structure type means person, because type def struct is abbreviated as person here. So I will use the data type as person. Now come to the third step. So here we have to typecast. Typecasting means malloc will return void. Now I have to typecast into the data type of this pointer variable. So the data type is person, then star. And here I have to write size of, and then the data type. Here the data type is person, so I'm just writing person. So defining the dynamic memory is done. Now the third step, how to access the variable. So I have to access those variable now. So generally for accessing a structure variable, I will use the variable name dot the member name, and then we will assign some value. So here, since we are dealing with pointers and dynamic memory, so instead of dot, I will use arrow. And in the left hand side of the arrow, I will use the structure variable. Here the structure variable name is xy. So here I'm just writing the structure variable name. The rule is same. The structure variable, instead of dot, I'm just using arrow and then member name. So structure variable name is xy. Then we will write arrow and then the member variable name. So the first member variable name is name. And then I will put the name. So name of a person is say ABCD. And then again the structure variable name, and then the member name, that is age. And then I will put the value of the age. So this is how we can access members of a structure. So why we are using dynamic memory? Try to understand. The main benefit of using dynamic memory is I can delete the memory or I can free the memory. So whatever memory I have used or allotted, I can free them after using it. But I want to explain one more point. So my fourth point will be, if you don't want to keep this memory, you can release this memory. So how to release the memory? You have to write free function, and inside this you have to mention just the pointer name. So here the pointer name is xy, because since your pointer is holding this memory chunk, so if you free the pointer variable, then your memory will be deleted. But try to understand one point. Deleting memory means what? So we may think that, okay, we are deleting xy, free xy means I'm deleting the variable. No. The point is, whenever you are writing free and then some pointer variable name, it means it will delete the data. It will delete the data that is held by the variable. You are not deleting the variable. This variable do exist in the memory, but the content of the variable will be removed. I can use this variable again for some other memory allocation. So deleting, freeing xy means deleting the data, not the variable. This is my point. So now we will learn the specific application of this structure. So we can define structure in many applications, but among them, the most interesting application of the structure is in genetic algorithm. In genetic algorithm, to create a chromosome, the concept of structure is used. So we can see the concept of genetic algorithm in my previous class. So what is the concept of chromosome? We know that we can think a chromosome like an array, right? Means we have some row, means if we have more than one chromosome, then each chromosome can be thought of as a row, and each of the gene can be thought of as column. So now what is my point in genetic algorithm? When a problem is given to you, any problem, first you have to represent or encode that problem into chromosomes, into set of chromosomes, and each and every chromosome will contain gene, and the set of chromosome altogether will form one population. So creating population is the first objective in your genetic algorithm. Now for simplicity, consider a problem, say y equal to minus x square plus 5. So this is your problem. Now how to encode this problem into chromosome? So whenever we have some problem, we have to represent it. So in this problem, we have a concept of sign bit. So now first we have to understand what is the configuration of the gene. So here let us consider I want to create a particular chromosome where my first bit will hold the sign bit, means 0 means positive, 1 means negative. Then I will say this is my sign bit, and then we will have bit 5, bit 4, bit 3, bit 2, bit 1. So these are the value representation, and then say the last, at the last position I will store my fitness function. Value of the fitness function I will store in this last row. So this is how my each and every column or the gene of the chromosome will look like. Say I want to create 4 chromosome. So I will similarly create again the second chromosome with sign bit, then B5, B4, B3, B2, B1, and then the fitness function. So we will create similarly 4 chromosomes. And then how could I put the value? So it will be like 0, and then the next position will be some representation, bit representation of some integer, and then I will put some fitness function value. Similarly, I will put sign bit as 1 for the next chromosome. Then I will write the bit representation of the integer, and then I will calculate the fitness function, then I will put the value. So this is how I will create my chromosome. So how to create chromosome, it is already discussed, but how this concept of structure and type def can be used here, we will understand at this point. So now if I want to represent these chromosomes, then which syntax should I follow? Any syntax I can follow. So I will use this syntax. I will write type def, then the struct keyword, and then I will give a tag name, say as chromosome, say chrome. And within this, what I'm storing bits. 6 bits are there. So I will take short int, or you can take integer also. This is a new data type. So you can use short int and say I'm just using an array with name bit. So I'm just writing array. The data type of the array is short int. You can use int, float, anything, but since here I'm dealing with bits, so I'm taking data type as short int, and it should be an array because any chromosome will look like an array. And then I'm storing a fitness function too. So fitness function is in the integer, in the form of integer. So I will take another variable fit that will store the fitness function. So again I will create one variable that will used as an abbreviated form of this, means instead of writing type def struct chrome, I will just write chrome. So what will happen? So I want to create 4 chromosome. So within main, what I will do, I will use this abbreviated form chrome, and then I will create one array, and this array will be of type structure. So say the population, say I want to create the current population with 4 chromosome, then it will be of size 4. If I want to create another array to store the next population, then again the data type will be chrome, and then next population will be, then I will write the variable name as next pop, next pop, and 4 chromosomes will be there. So this is how you can use structure for creating one chromosome.